let's find out. What we're going to do tonight is we are going to talk about your health concerns, what might be holding you back, and we're going to do a little exercise in overcoming emotional eating. So first of all, for anybody that doesn't know me, this is a little bit about me. In fact, most of you in the room already know me, but I'm Sue. I'm 51 years old, mum to 2 teens and also to a new cat who's very, very sweet. And there's a story behind that you may have seen on Facebook. Wasn't able to have a cat for a long time, but since I changed the way I've been eating, my allergies are so much better, not 100%, but probably about 90% better. So that's why we got a cat, and she's been here about 2 weeks now, which is lovely. Oh, I just need to plug my phone in as well. And I'm a lover of life. As you will see in this picture, there's me in Kefalonia, which is my home from home, riding a motorbike. I've been riding a motorbike since I was in my mid-20s, but usually only when I'm traveling. I think it doesn't feel safe to me to ride on a motorbike in this country. And so I gave that up when I had kids. But every time I go to Greece or somewhere like that, I love to get a scooter and just enjoy the scenery that way. I love the freedom of it. So Joy in Barcelona, welcome. Angie from Bristol, Grace from Scotland, Jane in Portugal, Helen in Southampton, and Melissa in Birmingham. Hi, darlings. So I'll just go back to my slide. Lover of life, and my values, my motto: fun, freedom, family, friends, and food. A lover of food, right? And it was the lover of food thing that kept me stuck for so many years. But if you stay on, you'll find out it doesn't keep me stuck anymore. I found a new sense of freedom with food that keeps me healthy, and I can, and still enjoying my food. A little bit about my background. So I'm also a choir leader, so do a lot of singing. And I'm involved in some community projects in Uganda, which I know some of you already know about, so I can tell you more about that another time. But my history, I wasn't always a health coach. I actually started off life as a clinical scientist in the NHS. And for most of my career, I've been an IT manager for Cardiff University, and I've also been in the campaigning world, trying to make this world a better place for us all. But going back about 3 years now, had my own health transformation. And as a result of that, I decided I wanted to certify as a health coach. And so that is what brings me here now, standing in front of you. My business is called Eat Well, Feel Great, Live Life to the Full. And I have so far guided 120 people to a happier, healthier life just by changing their relationship with food. So that is what brings me to this point. I would love to talk about what your concerns are and what's holding you back. And as I've said in the blurb, we're going to do an exercise where you can actually take away some real value this evening in understanding what it is that's behind using food as a crutch, using food for emotional eating. We all do it. We're going to come to that, but I think you'll find it can be really empowering, this exercise. We're going to talk a bit more about how I might be able to support you with your health goals. And for anybody that stays until the end, I'm going to be sharing with you a special bonus, but also a freebie that you can just have to keep. So I'm just going to move on. My story then, if some of you have seen it, because it's all over Facebook, isn't it? History of yo-yo dieting. Yeah, I've always been a fun-loving, food-loving person, not to excess, but I'm just one of those people who has a tendency to gain weight. And I spent many, many decades failing at diets. Does that resonate with anybody else in the room? Anybody ever failed at a diet and felt like a failure? Well, yeah, it's not uncommon, is it? Well, I am here to tell you, my lovelies, we don't fail diets. Diets fail us. And I've got a slide on that. So that sense of failure ends here. Diets don't support us. There is a better way. So yeah, a history of weight gain, but not just the weight. What I hadn't realized was that actually related to the way that I was eating, allergies, as I've mentioned, but also stiff joints, tired and achy and sluggish. You know, I was starting to get stiff in my 30s, and I couldn't understand what it was. And I'd be standing there in choir, just like, oh, moving constantly because I was seizing up, and nobody could explain to me what it was. Well, it turns out it was the way I was eating, because now that I'm eating much more natural, much cleaner, if you like, I don't get the stiff joints. And what's interesting is when I eat, you know, if I eat things that aren't good for me, then it'll come back. So now I know how to eat to keep it off, and what's going to happen if I eat, you know, the wrong foods that don't support me. And I still love to do that, but I know what the effect is going to be. So that gives me a new sense of freedom. And, you know, years and years, decades of yo-yo dieting. And it took me till I was 40, I think, to realize that dieting wasn't the answer. It wasn't sustainable. I was gaining weight every single diet I did. And I think, you know, for me, the reason I felt like I couldn't stick to it is because I had no willpower. Yeah, I think this is the main thing, isn't it? That diets require so much willpower. They tell you how to eat, and then you've just got to follow it, no matter what your cravings are, no matter how hungry you are, no matter how much you want sugar. It's just willpower. And that just doesn't work. Willpower only lasts for a very short time. So it isn't the answer. Any plan that requires you to do things through sheer willpower just is not going to be sustainable. Some people got willpower of steel. Anyone in the room? If you commit to something, you can do it. Some people I come across really can commit to something. But even if they have got this willpower of steel, it only lasts a certain length of time before they need something else to get them through it. And of course, another thing about dieting is that sense of deprivation, you know, the calorie counting, the low fat this. It's like feeling deprived all the time. And so how long can you keep that up? You're made to feel guilty if you don't release weight, weigh in every week. You haven't lost anything, oh dear, what have you been doing? Made to feel guilty. And it's bloody miserable, right? Anybody relate to this? I'm just going to stop the screen share a minute. Yeah, Velta, what's your experience being, Velta?
Over the last 15 years, I suppose, it's just kept going up. And no matter, to be quite honest, no matter what I do, I had a very early surgical menopause at 40, and it just, you know, it's there. And I mean, I used to be a size 10. I'm not telling you what size I am now, but it's bigger, a lot bigger. And, you know, and I'm also finding that over the last year, I've had difficulty recovering from what seems like stupid little infections. Although in fairness, I had COVID 18 months ago and I'm not over that. But I'm under the doctor, you know. So, but yeah, just general tired, not, I mean, I've just had a virus. That's all they said, it's a virus. And it knocked me out for 7 days. And I'm only just, I've been off work a fortnight. This is the second week. And I'm only just beginning to feel better.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Velta. But, you know, we can all relate to that history of feeling unwell and gaining weight. And do you know what? It's not our fault. It's not our fault, because the way we are taught to eat, by the food that surrounds us, by the guidance that surrounds us, by the supermarkets. I should just share a quick slide with you, actually. This is the way we are taught to eat. Yeah, that's what's around us all the time. Can you see that? It's everything for convenience, everything in a packet. You know, if you go out into the high street, you're looking for lunch, and what can you find? Well, you can find latte in a cookie or a sandwich in a packet, but you won't be able to find what we're meant to be eating, which is this is how we evolved to eat. You know, that's how our bodies are meant to be eating. You know, it's easy to say that. I just popped Belter on mute a second. It's easy to say that, but if you go looking for lunch when you're busy, can you find something that looks like that? It's hard work, isn't it? So it's not our fault that we are, you know, at the, you know, controlled by food, controlled by the food industry. More to, you know, more to the point is the food industry, and they put in sugar in everything, and they're marketing to us, making us think that this is healthy and it's not. And then who else gave me a little wave? Marianne, what's your experience been?
Can you hear me?
Hi, Marianne, I can hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay, good. Yeah, my experience is that many years ago, I did understand that dieting was not a solution for me. And then I have tried with healthy living and more exercise, but my issues are maybe more psychological or mental, that I bypass everything good that I know I'm supposed to do. So, and it's so easy to fall for the supermarket tricks because life is busy, and when you're working, what's for supper? I'm part-time living alone. So who wants to cook for one person? It's boring.
Yeah, exactly. That was the trap I fell into when I was single, you know, before I got married and had kids. It's like, well, I don't want to cook for one. It's time consuming. And so I'd end up getting, you know, sort of beans on toast or that kind of thing, you know, and just not really looking after myself. And yeah, it's all about psychology, isn't it? Because when, you know, it needs behavior change. Any program that you undertake needs to have solid behavior change, and a typical diet just really won't do that. Belter, what did you want to say?
Self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage is another key one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do that. Exactly.
You know, we do. I mean, I eat fairly healthy. You know, I mean, I don't eat a lot of processed foods. I eat vegetables and lean fish, you know, this sort of chicken. But I come home, or I was coming home from work, and then I cook for myself because my husband eats other rubbish, and annoyingly he stays at about 10 stone. You know, I mean, he is just super skinny and he doesn't move about a lot. But then I'd think, when I'd eaten this wonderful tea, I'd think, oh, I'll just have a glass of wine. I've had a long day, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, and self-sabotage just like that.
Yeah, is it exactly. So for anything to work, we need to change our mindset. We need to find new solutions. We need to find new go-tos, and we need to find a way of wanting the healthy option. Find a way of wanting it, rather than at the moment we're wanting those go-to foods, and we're going to come to that on the next slide. So yeah, thanks both for sharing there. I'm just going to go back to this slide because I want to share with you what happened after I found this new way of eating in 2020. So within the space of 90 days, I released 20 pounds, and that was without even trying, to be honest, because I didn't stick to it 100%. And this is part of the point, is there's no need, you don't need to stick to anything 100%. There's got to be built-in flexibility. And oh boy, did I use plenty of flexibility. If I'd stuck to it 100%, I probably could have released a lot more, but I was really happy with about 1.5 stone, 20 pounds, that sort of, and that was enough for me to drop a dress size immediately. What was interesting is as I maintained that over the next 6 months, I dropped another dress size. And what I think was happening there was I didn't believe that I was actually 2 dress sizes lower than I thought I was. And I was starting to wear slimmer fitting clothes. You can't see now, I've got a nice slim fitting jacket on. And whereas before it was baggy clothes all the time, you know. So I actually dropped 2 dress sizes, and now I'm maintaining at 3 dress sizes below where I was. We don't need to talk about weight or dress sizes, but it feels lovely to be 3 dress sizes lower and not dieting. I'm not dieting now. I've just got a new way of eating that is enjoyable. It's much more natural. It's much more, you know, plenty of veg, plenty of nutrition. And I'm no longer reliant on that glass of wine to relax. I'm no longer reliant on the chocolate for comfort. But let's go to that, because we're going to come to that exercise where we talk about the chocolate and the wine. And I'm not going to take those things off you at all, because if I tried to do that, we're just back in diet mentality and deprivation. But before we do the exercise, I want to get you reflecting. So did everybody get the notebook, the workbook that came along, that came with this, yeah, that accompanies the workshop, the masterclass? So if you've got your workbook printed out, get a pen now and start popping down some reflections. So I think the first question is, yeah, what are your main health concerns? So what is it for you? Velta's already shared a few. Is it weight? Is weight the primary thing for you? Or is it low on energy? Is it that exhausted feeling, that sort of afternoon slump? Yeah, exhaustion. Is it like, for me, joint stiffness creeping in, feeling stiff? I couldn't come down the stairs in the normal way back then. I'd have to turn to my side and come down one step at a time like that, you know, because I didn't have enough movement in my hip to be able to lift my knee and go down a step in the normal way. Is it gut disorders, you know, feeling bloated? Feeling, anyone ever get that acid reflux when they've eaten certain foods? Or other gut disorders, you know, dare I say it, constipation, and of course the opposite as well. Acid reflux, poor sleep. Anybody struggling with their sleep? Brain fog. Who gets that one? Brain fog. So that's something that can come on as our hormones change. Perimenopause, you know, is something that I get myself. But brain fog definitely can be improved by improving your diet. I can vouch for that 100%. And then there's the feeling older than, you know, than your years, isn't there? You know, we all want to live a long and healthy life. And I'm aiming to live to be, well, you might find this hilarious, but I want to live to be 120, right? Before you laugh, if you look at the statistics, so I've typed in my date of birth and very few lifestyle factors, actually, just basically being female and born in 1971 puts me, I've got a 1 in 10 chance of living to be 100, right? 1 in 10 chance. Actually, it's 99, but I'm pushing it a bit. 1 in 10 chance. Now, if I'm in the top 1% of healthy eaters, I think I've got a much higher than 1 in 10 chance. And if I'm very, very careful, so, and who knows where medicine is going to be in 50 years' time, right? So I'm planning to live well beyond 100. But in order to do that, I need to be happy, healthy, with a positive outlook, and I need to be doing some of the right things. Yeah. So what is it for you? Does anybody want to share what what their top health, their top health concern is at the moment? We've heard from Velta. Does anyone else want to share? Marianne?
Oh, yes. It's about the expectation of lifespan. That I could say, if it goes on like this with the joints aching and the reflux and not being able to fit any clothes and not being really happy, I don't want to be 100 years. I don't even want to be 90. So it has to change, because I would love to get back to my active life. And I'm worried that my mobility, the ability to move, ride, swim, hike, will be limited.
Yeah.
So it has to change. It's last call for me.
Something's got to change. I hear you.
Yeah, definitely.
There is absolutely a way. So we're there for you. There's absolutely a way. So thank you for sharing that. I'm just going to close this door because the cat is really getting on my nerves now. Where are you? Right. She's going to, I know what she's going to do. She's going to come through the damn window again. Where are the family when you need them? So, my darlings, impact on our personal lives, right? For me, it was, I couldn't find anything to fit me. I mean, I could buy bigger clothes, but then they were horrendous, you know, then nothing fitted me nicely. I didn't feel nice in anything. I was low on motivation. I didn't really feel like dieting and exercising. And I didn't have enough energy to do the things I wanted to do. And who feels like, you know, it's about self-care, isn't it? Anybody feel like they're pretty low on self-care? You know, we give in constantly, aren't we? To our family and our day jobs and everybody else that is making demands on us. And we put ourselves last. And then, of course, we get low on joy, because where is the joy in our lives? Well, basically the chocolate and the wine. But does it bring us real joy? And then we're left wanting more. We're left wanting more out of life and just waiting around until something improves. Does that resonate with anybody? Yeah, I hear you. And then any business owners in the room, business owners or executive, yeah, Velta executives, and anybody who you know works for a living, whether it's for an employer or for yourself, how does it affect our day jobs? Well, for me, it was about feeling that I couldn't show up confidently in my true identity. I know who I feel like on the inside, and it's the way I look now. You know, I love to dress nicely. I like to do my makeup and my hair, and I like to feel like I can stand in front of a room full of people and feel good about my appearance. But I couldn't do that. Not when I was 3 sizes larger. I felt inadequate. I felt ashamed. And I found that professionally, I was comparing myself to women who seemed to have it sorted. I was comparing myself to those who seemed to have a handle on their weight. And it was a real, it held me back. And what about reaching for more coffee when we get tired? That's, you know, reaching for the wine in the evening to relax, reaching for the coffee when we get tired. It's just a typical vicious circle. So let me ask you, and this is question 2, I think, in your workbook. Let's find you some motivation, shall we? Let's find you some motivation to want to make a difference in your life. How would you feel if you could achieve more energy, release some weight, and get a healthier relationship with food that was sustainable? If you could make some of the health improvements that, you know, I'm going to tell you about that we see on my program, but the health improvements that can come with a change and improvement in the way you're eating, things like improved sleep, reduced joint pain and stiffness, better flexibility, better mobility, and knowing that you've got every chance of having a longer, healthier life because of the way you're eating now, because of the changes you're making now. So how would that feel to you? And what difference would it make to your life? Does anybody want to share what's coming up for them? What would that do for you? Just give us a little wave if you can think of something that would motivate you. How would life be different? What would you do differently with more flexibility? If you had more energy, if you felt lighter on your feet, Velta?
I think that for me, it would be hopefully help me to recover from COVID. You know, I mean, COVID's obviously a new unknown, but just to feel that bit fitter, to feel, you know, that you can join in more, that just generally more at ease with where I am, who I am, etc., etc.
Yeah, living life with more ease. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? Finding that peace with food, peace with your body,
Yeah.
peace in the way you'd carry out your day-to-day activities.
I mean, today, slightly depressed because a friend asked to borrow a dress, which she's borrowed before. And I said, okay. And I said, what are you going to do? And she said, oh, I'm going to a lunch, you know, but it's a smart lunch. And she knows I have lots of smart clothes, as you may well know. but when I went upstairs and I looked in the wardrobe, every single one of them probably will not fit me. And that, you know, I think, I mean, somebody said, oh, you should throw all these things out because they're just holding you back. And then if you get thinner, then, but actually I love those clothes and I just want to wear them again.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyway.
they're your beautiful clothes that you love.
Yeah.
And
So,
is that a motivating factor, wanting to get back into those clothes?
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I always wore fitted suits and, you know, everything that was basically slimline, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still wear fitted stuff, but I don't feel as comfortable, not as at ease in it.
Yeah, I hear you. Absolutely. Well, it is there for you. You know it is, because you've seen my case studies. We'll come to that at the end, but it is there for you. And I just want to go through the other questions. I won't need to share the screen, but just for everybody to find something that they can take away from this that makes them feel motivated to want to make healthy changes. How would it impact on your loved ones, your family, those close to you? What would it do for them, you know, to see you healthier and happier? What would it do for family life? And then what other areas of your life would improve? It might be business, it might be your pet. I coached a whole family 2 years ago, almost to the day they started. And the youngest was the one who needed it the most. He was 14. He was a couple of stones overweight and it was holding him back. And I said to him, what other areas of your life would improve if you make some healthy changes? And he said the dog would be happier. The dog would be happier because he gets to take the dog out for walks, whereas at the time he couldn't be bothered. He's lying down on the sofa all the time. He couldn't be bothered to take the dog out. And this lovely family, I've seen them recently, very recently, and they are bouncing. And he is the healthiest, most attractive. He's completely transformed. And it's just so joyful to see the change that can happen just through food. So have a think, because I'd love you to come away with some real sense of motivation this evening. I'll share again. What do you think holds you back from being your healthiest self? What do you think holds you back? We've talked about a few things. We've talked about the dieting trap. We've talked about the confusion and the requirement for willpower. But there's always something, isn't there? Even if we're not dieting, what is it? For me, it was too many special occasions. I felt like I couldn't possibly lose weight. That's what it was for me. It wasn't about health back then. It was just about weight loss. I couldn't possibly do it with so many social occasions. Impossible, because I didn't know another way. Sugar addiction. Who can relate to that one? Feeling addicted to sugar. Yes. And it's not our fault. We're meant to be addicted to sugar. We're designed to crave sugar and those sweet things because nature wants us to store fat on our bodies so that we can survive, right? That it's not our fault. That's how we're meant to be. Sam, massive sugar addiction. We can sort that out, lovely. Don't you worry. Compulsive eating. Yeah. Compulsion, eating for compulsion rather than health. You know, it's not unusual. Yeah. Lack of motivation. Well, of course we got lack of motivation because we're not seeing any results. Can't stick to anything and confused. We don't even know where to start. It doesn't even know where to start. We're going to sort all that out. Right. So how would it feel to be at peace with food? To love eating for health. So we're talking about those mindset changes, the behavioral changes, to overcome any confusion, feel empowered, ditch the dieting once and for all in favor of just eating a more natural, healthier diet, and wanting to do that and finding the strategies to overcome the compulsion. So release weight naturally, and eat what you want guilt-free. I do. I eat what I want guilt-free now, and I still love chocolate and wine, and I love an occasional takeaway. What else? I went to London over Easter and I had the most delicious patisserie. So I am not deprived, my lovely ladies. I promise you I'm not deprived. It's just that most of the time now I'm eating healthy, delicious food that I know how to do and didn't know how to do it before. So let's go to the exercise then. Get your notepads and pens out, or your workbook. What is it for you? What are your go-to comfort foods? Let's do some work now, and let's deal with one food here tonight. So we got this lovely array of cookies and cakes and lattes and pizzas and cheese and pasties and wine and takeaways and Diet Coke. Diet Coke or full fat Coke, neither of them are particularly good. So what is it for you? Put in the chat or come on the microphone and tell me what is your biggest go-to comfort food. It might not even be on this picture. What was it for me? Oh, it was all of them. Pizza. Pizza was for social. Pizza night, yeah, more of a social thing. But for wine, every night, wine for relaxation, wine for connection. Ex-husband, only way we could connect was over a bottle of wine. So it was part of my relationship with him, human connection. Sean, can you deal with the cat, please? She's meowing somewhere, but she's pestering me. Chocolate. Who turns to chocolate for comfort, reward, pleasure, to reward themselves? Yeah, of course you do, because isn't it delicious? Isn't it delicious? Interesting. I still love chocolate. The chocolate I love now is very, very different from the kinds of chocolate that I had before, because that chocolate that most of us are eating is very, very high in sugar, isn't it? And it's the sugar that keeps the cravings alive. So there is definitely a way of overcoming that. What about cheese? Anyone got the cheese munchies? Yeah. Every night for me was cheese and crackers. And I thought, well, I'm healthy. I'm having a Ryvita, but it was a lot. It was like 4 Ryvitas with a slab of cheese and then the pickle. Didn't even think that the pickle, loads of sugar in the pickle. And I was doing it every night. And I was doing it after dinner, so it'd be like more food than I really needed. So, crisps, that's missing. What about crisps? Anybody love something crunchy, something savory? Yeah, we are designed to crave savory, crunchy things as well. So when there's nothing wrong, I'm not demonizing any of those foods, but of course, when we turn to them to get our emotional needs met, that's when it can become a problem. Because number one, do they meet those emotional needs? When you turn to food, tell me. So let's say you're having, I really need to feel rewarded. Having a bit of chocolate, do you feel rewarded? Is it changing your emotional state? Well, Sam's saying no. Anybody think yes?
Yeah,
A little, Velta. So how well rewarded do you feel when you've had food as a reward?
When you get that sugar rush.
You do.
So it's probably maximum of 20 minutes and then you crash.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Sam is also right, is that it doesn't last. That feeling of reward or satisfaction doesn't last. And like you said, Velta, maybe 20 minutes. Most people say less than that. Most people say it lasts as long as the bar of chocolate lasts. And then what's left? When you've finished the bar of chocolate, how are you feeling at the end? Marianne?
I try something different.
You want to try something different?
No, if I eat chocolate and it's enough, then I go for a cheese sandwich. And when that's finished, it doesn't matter what kind of food I overeat I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't be joining you tonight.
Yes.
But there's no alcohol. Alcohol doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't do it for me. But everything that is eatable.
Yeah, because You go for the chocolate and you think, well, I'm still not feeling satisfied. I'm still not feeling better than I was before. Yes, you get that little hit that Velta was describing. And that's what keeps us doing the same behavior, is because you get that little hit. The body goes, oh, that was a little reward there. And the habit is ingrained. But actually, it doesn't fill the emotional void that needed connection, that needed reward, that needed self-care. It doesn't fill the emotional void. And so, Marianne, you're looking for the next thing, the sandwich, whatever it is that's around, the next thing and the next thing, because we're trying to fill the emotional void with foods. So how do the foods feel when you've had too much of it? You know, you've overindulged on chocolate, you've eaten the whole bar because it didn't fill the emotional void, or you've gone for the next thing, you've had the sandwich and that didn't hit the spot, so you've had the crisps, and you wanted wine for relaxation, and so you ended up drinking the whole damn bottle of wine. How do you feel? Yeah, I can
disappointed in yourself.
Marianne feels crap. Velta feels disappointed in herself. So partly there's the physical, oh, I wish I hadn't eaten that, especially when it's fish and chips, right? You eat the whole fish and chips and they're like, oh my God, I'm never eating fish and chips again. Why do I do it every single time? And you're caught in this loop. And you're caught in the loop because of the disappointment and the regret and the guilt. Now we need to break free from the disappointment, the regret, and the guilt. If we can break free from that, then we can start to see things more clearly and we can start to do the work. So we're going to do the work now. What need are you trying to satisfy? So I don't need to share my slides for this. So if it's comfort, if it's reward, if it's connection, or if it's just to cheer you up, what is it for you? Just think about what the thing is you're trying to satisfy, right? Think about that thing. And now I'm going to share my screen. What other ways? And I'm not saying don't have the chocolate. That's there, right? That's there. Don't deprive yourself of that. But before you go to the chocolate, what other ways might you get that need met? So let's say I want comfort. I'm cold, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I want chocolate. Actually, if you can see the pictures on my screen there, there's a lovely hot bath there with candles. Actually, in that moment, as long as I'm not deprived of the chocolate, I think I would like to run a hot bath and see if that comforts me. Who thinks a hot bath might make me feel more comforted than a bar of chocolate? Might be more wholesome way of feeling more comforted. And what about if you're looking for connection? You know, like me with a bottle of wine, husband, looking for connection and a bottle of wine. Well, all right, it got us talking, but it didn't really do anything for our relationship. What I probably needed was, you know, a good phone call to somebody, or with my husband, when maybe we needed a romantic evening, light some candles and maybe play a game together for connection. Or what if you're feeling lonely? What if you're feeling lonely and sorry for ourselves? Is there somebody that's at the end of the phone that can help us feel more supported and more connected and loved and appreciated? And sometimes phoning a friend can be much more powerful. So there's a few other activities here. Relaxation, reading a book. Pleasure, joy, it can be playing, it can be if you've got a pet, you know, my beautiful cat, she's a pain now, but how beautiful it feels to hold that cat or your dog, or to give the kids a cuddle, you know, that connection, that sense of self-love and self-care. But none of this is going to work if you say, I'm not having chocolate, I'm not having chocolate, I'm going to cuddle the dog, because you're just going to be so distracted by the chocolate that you won't get anything out of cuddling the dog. So I want you to know that when you're doing this, I want you to think, I'm not depriving myself of anything, but what I'm looking to see is there something more wholesome for me in another activity that could actually meet that emotional need in a more wholesome way. Velta, what's coming up for you?
Sorry, I was going to say, many years ago, I used to smoke, and it was many years ago, I used to smoke. And I actually, sorry, excuse me, found that keeping my hands busy. So I took up knitting. I mean, I'm not a great knitter, but I took up knitting stuff because the children were little. Now, you know how big my children are now. They're big, very big people. And now, because I'm lonely, because of my situation with my husband, what I've done is, first of all, today I handed in my notice at the partnership.
Really, Velta? Congratulations.
So, yeah, well, I suddenly thought I'd had another birthday. And I thought, I'm just not getting any younger, and it's not getting easier. And I do need to have some self-care. But I've also taken up a creative textile course. So I'm sewing with my hands. So while my hands are busy and your brain is engaged, I don't feel the need to have as much of the other stuff, especially when today she said to me, that's a lovely piece of work. And I thought, I did that. That's the reward. Sorry, God.
Oh, it does sound very chesty, you poor thing. But yeah, thank you for sharing. Absolutely. When we find something that feels fun, that feels relaxing, that feels connected, that feels productive, that feels energetic, you know, going out for a walk in nature, it doesn't need to be much. For me, just going 5 minutes down the road to the stream and the trees in the field, that's all I need to feel reconnected. It doesn't take much. So finding something. So see what you can take away from that picture. It could be knitting, it could be coloring, it could, you know, there's always something. And if anybody's struggling to think of something, ask me after the workshop, ask me after this, because I've got a long list, as long as my arm, because I've been collecting these things. There will be something that you can do. And if you want the chocolate, have the chocolate. But notice how well you feel rewarded and satisfied through the activity, and how well you feel rewarded and satisfied through the chocolate. Just notice, and then put that wisdom into a plan for next time. So here are my tips. I'm going to share again. This is from taking everything we've talked about. This is what it takes. So any plan that you undertake needs to have these elements. Any change you make to your lifestyle needs to have these elements. You need to make sure you're getting properly nourished. So somehow, some way, you need to find a way of getting more of the good stuff in, more of the good stuff. You need to be using positive psychology and encouraging yourself to reflect on every single positive step you make. One doable step at a time. Don't try and do the whole thing. You know, a diet plan is such a big change that it can be almost impossible to implement into our real lives. One doable step. Yeah, it could be just adding in a new vegetable and reflecting on every single new step that we make, and rewarding yourself with rewarding yourself with self-care and encouragement because you've made one doable step. It needs to be real food. Please, please, please don't think that the answer is in a shake or supplements or anything like that. Not to say that some people don't require nutritional supplements, you may well do, but it's about eating real foods and not going hungry. If we go hungry, what happens?
Reach the chocolate.
We immediately return back to the chocolate, the crisps, or the sandwich. Yeah, we immediately return to the foods that don't support us. So it's about not going hungry. It's about not being deprived, but having lots and lots and lots of good stuff to eat. And the body will release weight naturally. So that is everything that I wanted to share with you about how I think what you can take away from this. So I hope that you felt that you've got some insights into what it is that causes you to turn to foods as a crutch, and how to take steps to improve things without depriving yourself. Now, for anybody, no, you've got enough there to start making some changes. But if you want more support from me and the program that I coach, I'm going to tell you a little bit about that now, because it's a 90-day program where we take you through all those steps, getting properly nourished, one change at a time, enjoying real foods, learning to love healthy eating, positive encouragement, and getting you into a state where you are releasing weight naturally and effortlessly because you're starting to love food, love the good stuff, okay? So the program that I coach, it's a 90-day program. I call it the Eat Well, Feel Great 90-day health transformation program, because it's primarily about health and less about weight loss. Having said that, the typical weight loss that we do see on the program, well, my average figure out of all the 120 clients that I've taken through this program, the average weight loss is 21 pounds. Now that includes those who join and they don't really want to release any weight. They're already slender. I'm not here for weight loss. I'm here for a better relationship with food. So it includes those. And we have seen as much as 3 stones on the program. So that's not unheard of as well. And it depends on where you're starting from. But more important than the weight release is the health benefits. So we are seeing significant improvements in energy just as a result of changing the food. That's it. It's incredible. Better sleep, reduced joint pain, stiffness, I've mentioned all this, improved digestion, and a better attitude around food. Now, I haven't mentioned exercise because this is everything it's not. It's not a workout program. We're not going to be giving you any grueling exercise to follow. It's not a diet, it's not a detox, it's not a short-term thing. It's a training program to train you how to eat for health for the rest of your life and how to love healthy eating. It's impossible to fail because every time you have a slip or what we call an experiment, if you go against what we've asked you to do that week, it's embraced as a positive learning experience. So that means it's impossible to fail. Cravings, Angie. The way we deal with cravings is in the first 3 weeks. I'm just going to stop the share again. In the first couple of weeks, the first things we do are looking closely at our reasons for our food choices. And we look properly at getting you properly nourished and balancing your blood sugars. So there's a number of reasons for cravings. Number 1 is the emotional hunger that we've talked about today. Number 2 is what we like to call low blood sugar hunger. And who's experienced that sense of low blood sugar cravings? It's like, oh, I absolutely have to eat now. You know, low blood sugar cravings can be really debilitating. So we're going to get those dealt with in the early weeks. So cravings will take care of themselves just as a result of this way of eating. So I'm going to just quickly share some success stories with you so that you can see the kinds of things that we are seeing on this program. So like I said, I've coached 120 people through this program now. And here are some of my recent graduates sharing their biggest key win from the program. And I'll just read a couple for you because it's very, very tiny. Shauki says, food is no longer in control of me. Ellen says, what does Ellen say? Can't read it myself, need my glasses. My positive energy has returned. I've released 11 pounds, 12 pounds is it? And I feel so light. Ellen didn't have huge amounts of weight to release. She was already fairly slender. Nikki says, so much more, and her mood is so much more stable. We're even seeing improvements in mood and people overcoming mild bouts of depression. Dee, after 90 days, I feel well again. 10 years younger and a stone lighter. Alison says, sustainable, healthy eating habits. Who's this there? Kate. Reduced pain and inflammation. Kate joined with rheumatoid arthritis. And as a result of this way of eating, she's reduced, almost eliminated that pain. She knows how to get it back, mind, but she knows how to stay pain-free as well now. And she released 21 pounds. Let's find just one more. Who have we got in the middle there? Released 22 pounds and got her energy back. So there's loads and loads of different benefits that are in store when we just change our relationship with food. Here's the lovely Karen, who I'd love to showcase because this was life-changing for Karen. She's a dear friend of mine, is now. Didn't know her before she came on the program. But when we met, I met her for coffee when she'd been through the program. And this was the photo that I took of her when she'd been through the program. When she joined, she'd been going through some debilitating life experiences. You know, she suffered an awful lot of grief, and she'd lost the will to live. And she was suffering with headaches and incredible swelling in her ankles that almost prevented her from walking. And yet, what was her top reason for joining the program? Wanted to lose weight. It's just, you know, it's the story that I'm hearing all the time. No matter which debilitating chronic ailments, people think that if they lose weight, that everything else is going to fall into place. Well, actually, I'll tell you this, it's the other way around. What we notice is when we start eating for health, this is the kind of thing that we can expect. Headaches reduced, acid reflux reduced, inflammation reduces. And as a side effect as well, the weight comes off. But it's not lose weight to feel better. It's eat better to feel better. And the weight will follow. The weight just follows. So we don't try to lose weight. There is no weighing on this program. There's no weigh-in check-ins. How many pounds have you lost this week? We don't do that. We encourage you to stay off the scales and trust the process. We encourage you to just eat. Just focus on the one change that we've asked you to make that week. So dear, lovely Karen, there she is. She's dyed her hair purple. She's down a dress size. She's released a total of 3 stones. It was 24 pounds on the program, but she's continued to release, after the program. And the big thing about Karen is the confidence now to have her photo taken. There she is in her yoga gear. And she says to me that she feels more alive. Now, what more could you want?
Yep.
So, did somebody want to ask me a question on that there before I?
No, I was just going to say that you could see the difference in her whole demeanor between that photograph on the left and then the one on the right.
Yep, it's the whole demeanor. You're absolutely right. Skin starts glowing. And remember now, this is food. Now, we mentioned about exercise. Karen loves yoga. Whatever the movement is, we call it intentional movement. Whatever the intentional movement is that makes you feel good, that's what we'll encourage you to do. But it comes from you. It comes from within. So if you, there will come a point on this program, who knows, maybe week 4, maybe week 6, maybe later, where you say, oh, I'm feeling better. Can I do some exercise now? And I'll say, oh, intentional movement. Yeah, what do you like to do? Well, I like to just walk the dog, or I like to do yoga, or I like to swim, or I like to swim in the freezing cold sea in Scotland. And whatever it is for you, I will encourage you to do that. So that's what I mean when I say it's not workouts, but we will support you to do and include the intentional movement that makes you feel great. That's what it's all about. So my final slide, my darlings, for anybody who is feeling motivated, inspired, and ready to make a change, I would love to offer you a really, really, really special deal. And I've never done this before. Some of the people in this room who've been on this talk with me before will vouch for the fact that my program costs £1,200 for the 90-day challenge. What you get for that is 13 weeks of group coaching with me and 13 weeks of guided support where you cannot fail, and I can guarantee your results. Now, just as a one-off, I am doing a very special class this June where I am opening it up to more people, to make it more accessible for those that have said to me that money is an issue. So I'm actually reducing the price to half price this one time. And this is the only time I'm doing it this year. I've never done it before. So the price is going to be $597, and you get to keep everything. You get to keep all your training. You get to keep all the coaching calls forever. So what else did I want to say about that? You get a Facebook group, so you've got that lovely community support. And as a bonus to say thank you for attending my masterclass this evening, so this is for anybody that's watching on the replay that signed up. So I know that a lot of people signed up but couldn't come tonight. If your name was down on the sign up list, and you decide that you want to join me on the 5th of June, I will give you a bonus gift of 2 personal check-ins with me. And that'll be in a small group where we go around the room and everybody gets a check-in with me towards the beginning of the program to make sure you are on the right track, and towards the end of the program as well, so that you will get that close guided support and anything that you need from me. So Melissa has just posted the checkout link if anybody wanted to do that. We're not offering these bonuses when we do this, when we advertise it or when we promote it online. These bonuses are only for people who signed up for this program, for this particular masterclass. So that is my invitation to you, my lovelies. Now, I am here to answer any questions. Thank you so much for your attention and your participation. If you don't have any questions, feel free to just disappear, but I'm going to stay on for anybody that wants to ask me anything about the program, whether it's logistics, whether it's payment plans, whether it's prices, whether it's call times, anything at all, whether it's expected. Oh, and the freebie. So there is a freebie. Thank you, Melissa. I said I would forget. For anybody that is maybe not interested in working with me as a coach now, but you want to get your freebie, I promised you. If you jump on my website, suella.com, and Melissa's put the link straight to this, I've got a masterclass that goes deeper into emotional eating. I've told some of you about it before, I know, because it was £27 on my website. It's always been £27 there for I don't know how long. But because of wanting to give that as a gift, I've made it free. So if you go on the website now and click on that link, you can either go straight to the link there, the emotional eating link, or you can just go to suella.com. You will find that masterclass and you can download it for free for the next couple of days. So that's my free gift to you, my darlings. So I will take any questions now. Angie, was there anything you wanted to ask, or was it just a hi, lovely?
Yeah, hi there. Yeah, I have been here all the time. I just was doing other stuff. So, yeah, when I had my call with you, we talked about 2 sessions a week in the group. That is a bit of a anxiety for me. I'm so busy. I don't want to feel like I'm not contributing or showing up to what's been asked of me, but I don't want to, I'm overwhelmed as it is. I don't want to feel overwhelmed about having to come to meetings that I'll do what you tell me to do, but I'm not saying I can turn up every time.
That is absolutely fine. And I'll tell you why. The calls are there for you to take what you need from it. And if that would give you anxiety, turning up all the time, then maybe you don't need it. So
when are they again?
So the calls are Mondays and Fridays.
Yeah.
The group calls on Mondays and Fridays.
What time?
I haven't fixed the time yet.
Oh.
We can talk about that if you like. But the calls on Mondays and Fridays, they're all recorded. So if you didn't want to show up, you can watch the replay. Now, Dane, my amazing assistant in the Philippines, I've got her doing the replays and posting them into the Facebook group. She's really quick. So within a couple of hours of that call, nearly always that replay is out. So you can be in your Friday frame of mind. You watched your training, didn't want to come to the replay, or I couldn't get off work to the live class. You just watched the replay that evening.
And how long do they last?
Well, they're 1 hour, but my talk is 20 minutes at the start. And when you want to, if you want to listen to everybody else's check-ins, then you listen to the whole thing. But if all you want is my lesson at the start, it's 10 to 20 minutes, depending on which week we're in. And you can watch it on double speed if you want. So it doesn't matter how much or how little time you've got. All you need to do is watch a short amount of the coaching, and you take what you need from it. So so that you don't have to, you could attend one a week. So here's how it works. The Friday call is, here's what's happening next week. Here's our mini challenge for next week. So on the Friday, you will get your instructions, and I'll give you a little lesson on how we're going to do that to make it fit into our lives. I might coach you on food prep. I might coach you on carrying food to work. I might coach you on eating out, meals for the family, that kind of thing. And it'll be that, well, how to make this doable. This is your pragmatic food coach here. So you might want to tune into that on a Friday, so you know what you're doing and how best to do it. Because of course I've got the benefit of 120 people giving me feedback over the last 2 years, 2.5 years. So then you've got the information like, right, okay, I know what I'm doing. The changes start on Monday. I've got the weekend to get prepared. And then on Monday, for anybody who's thinking, right, how do I do this again? There's a Monday call, which gives you the motivation and the mindset work and the behavior work. So the Monday is much more the, how are we going to do this? And especially if anybody's feeling that it's a challenge. So that's the Monday. But you've already got your instructions from the Friday. So as little or as much as you want to put into those coaching calls, you take what you want from it. Okay. Now, for those who need accountability, and that, you know, where are you? How are you getting on this week? Velta, I haven't seen you for 2 weeks. What are you doing? What are you up to? How's it going? There's an upgrade available for anybody who wants that small group accountability. So we can talk about upgrades. You know, if you're interested in doing it, sign up with this discount and we can talk about upgrades, because I'm doing an additional accountability call for anybody who really needs to be held in a small group. So does that answer your question and concerns, Angie?
Yeah, it does, definitely.